Today we are going to talk about direct and inverse variation. If you haven't taken notes yet, please stop the video, go back and take the notes, and then come back to join us. Direct variation. From the notes, you should know that it uses the equation y equals a times x, where a is a constant, so it's just a number. Typically, that's what's going to be our goal, is to find a and write an equation from that. So this first example shows that we need to write an equation when x equals 4 and y equals 12. Since they give us x and y, we're going to plug those into the equation. 12 equals a times x, which is 4. To get a by itself, we'd want to divide both sides by 4. So a would be 3. Since they asked us to write an equation, they want us to go back to our original equation and plug in that a is 3. And so we should have y equals 3 times x. We want to be sure that we have an equation with x and y in it for our final answer. That way I can plug in other x values or y values and solve future problems. Eventually, they're going to also give you a table and ask you, is it direct? Is it inverse? And the way you can tell if it's direct is if we would get a by itself, we would have to divide by x. So if you take the table and divide the y by x, and you get the same thing every time, that's how you know it's direct. Inverse variation. It's very similar, but now we have y equals a divided by x. It's very important that x is on the bottom. X has to be the thing that we are dividing by for it to be inverse. Similar type of problem. We just plug in what we know. So we know that 8 is equal to a divided by 3. To get a by itself, we would multiply both sides by 3. We know that a is 24. Writing our final answer then, we have y is equal to 24 divided by x. Once again, it's important that your final equation has an x and a y in it. That way, if I said x was 2, you could plug that in and tell me that its matching y would be 12. If x was 10, you could plug that in, tell me its matching y is 2.4. There is a third type of variation called joint variation. Joint variation is really just a combination of the first two. It might be two direct variation problems, so y equals a times x times z. It might be a combination of direct, a times x, and then inverse divided by z. Or it could be two inverse problems, y equals a divided by x times z. Whatever they say it's inversely related to goes on the bottom. If they don't mention specifically any inverses, then you use all direct, so it'll be all multiplication. Looking at those examples where I talked about the table, if they give you a table and ask you to identify, you want to look to see whether y times x gives you the same number each time, or y divided by x gives you the same number each time. If y divided by x gives you the same number, like in this first example, then it's direct variation. If y times x gives you the same number each time, then it's inverse. And if you get different numbers for both of those operations, then it's neither. Hope this video helped out as you work through your practice problems and your IXLs. If you do have any questions, please reach out to me through email or through our Flipgrid if you've set that up.